around. I interview successful entrepreneurs from around the world to see what moves they've made in their lives to get successful and, more importantly, stay successful. I'm here to make sure you can create a better life for you and your family. Let's tune in.
And you are live.
Welcome to the Winning Move Podcast. I'm your host, Stratton Brown. We have my good friend and business partner, Dean Rogers, on. Thanks for coming on, Dino.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm stoked.
I'm stoked. All right, let's continue our conversation where we're talking about with Ray Dalio's book and videos. I just don't see how America would need to change several different things. I don't think the wealth gap will ever change.
No,
the wealth gap will only continue to grow. You can't without more government regulation.
Even with communism, like there's still wealth gaps.
There's still a wealth gap. So we have that. Social conflicts, I think that will go down. I think Twitter, I'm a 100% believer that Twitter drove social conflicts more with like their bots, right? To where like they think it's like
all orchestrated.
It's all really orchestrated.
It's all orchestrated, which is kind of madness because if you think about it, right? We were just talking about how the economy works, how different powers within the world work. And one of the things that are going to cause a downfall in a certain country's power is internal social conflict, and so much of that is
driven through the social media
is being caused by people chirping, right? Yeah. The average normal person really probably isn't concerned with it,
doesn't give a fuck.
But there's enough noise and media that's behind it that's driving all of it and like trying to self-sabotage its own country. It's really strange.
Right. So we have that, and then the wealth gap, the social thing. What were the other two factors? So if you guys, we're talking about Ray Dalio's book, I think I don't want to give like the New World Order. That sounds like really conspiracy theorist.
Sounds big time. But that's what it's called.
Right, that's what it is. But it really talks
the changing world order.
Yeah, the changing world order, and it talks about the ebbs and flows of history and the cycles and everything else. And I mean, his book is really convincing just based off of all like the data points that he has. Like, nah, bro, like it's on the downturn, and then China is going up. And then we were talking about this beforehand. I don't trust Ray Dalio as far as his Chinese things, just because he has a lot of money that he makes with the Chinese.
Yeah, he's tied into it.
He's tied into it, right? But all of his data points show like, no, the American economy is going down. I truly think that everything needs to be brought back in. I don't think we should outsource anything. Like I know globalization.
Well, we've given the power to China.
Exactly.
Creating all of this wealth, right? They talk about that in the video that I watched, at least, like a rising power in a certain country's economy is going to be because of lower wages, right? Creating opportunity and growth that other countries are going to bring the services to. And that's exactly what we've done.
Exactly. Well, one thing I would be down for, I'd be down for more inflation if we brought all the jobs back and the cost of goods went up.
Right.
But you can eat that. But think about all the jobs that we'd bring back to America.
Right.
If we quit outsourcing everything. Because even at the beginning of like COVID-19, China like stopped importing and exporting things. And that was all of our medical supplies.
Right.
Like we weren't even doing that. Like pharmaceuticals, all that shit produced over in China. And so that bottleneck and like that supply chain issue is fucking scary.
Yeah.
But we didn't get here to talk about macroeconomics.
It's interesting though.
And today me and Dean are talking on a panel today at our meetup about how to really pivot in the recession, what we're going to do to thrive. And me and Dean have probably similar opinions, but different things we're doing in our different businesses to really make sure we're set up for success. But let's start off. How did you get into real estate? What did you do before then?
The origin story.
Let me hear Dino's origin story.
The elevator pitch. So, everybody's got their own story, and I like to tell people like, you need to understand your story. You need to own it, because it's what makes you, right? Everybody's got a different path of how they get to where they're at now. And I think the more you understand your story and embrace it and lean into it, the more it's going to help you grow, right? Through your different relationships and all that kind of stuff, right? So for me, my background, you and I are both sports guys. And for me, like growing up, when, ever I was filling out, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was always professional athlete, and I was always torn, whatever season I was in, basketball or football, You know, I wanted to be an NBA star. I wanted to be in the NFL, right? But in high school, I realized my best shot is going to be football. I'm a white guy. I'm only, 6'3". I can dunk the ball, but, I don't have,
you'd be a small point guard.
yeah, I didn't have the point guard skills until I got to college, right? Until I started playing pickup ball seriously. So I was like, okay, football's my best chance. So went to college, played in college, started getting scouted, recruited, and then flash forward, I got signed by the San Diego Chargers, played for them. Unreal experience. Like, it was crazy. And for me, like, the coolest thing about that whole experience was probably the most fulfilling thing was knowing that I could play at that level.
Yeah.
And so I was playing great, felt great. Norv Turner was telling me I was going to have a long career, living that lifestyle and everything. But I quickly realized, like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to die. Like,
when you were playing, you were playing fullback.
So that's
brutal.
That's what the biggest shift was for me. So I went from playing running back in high school to playing tight end in college to playing fullback for the Chargers. And, again, was playing great, felt amazing from the neck down, but you're now a battering ram.
Yeah.
And you're going against the best in the world that are just as big as you, just as fast as you. And instead of being, again, like, if I was tight end, I could have overcome
a lot of it,
that part, like the head part, right?
Yeah.
But because I was now lining up 10 yards away from somebody and running full speed to kill each other, like, that's a lot different. You're like two rhinoceroses going at each other.
That's just a car crash.
It's a car crash.
It's a car crash.
And I remember even going back after some practices and, like, icing the back of my head. Because I'm like, I can feel my brain swelling right now. Like, just like your body feels inflamed after a practice and, like, hitting and running for a long time and doing all that. Like, I need to ice my head. And for me, like, that year, ESPN came out with, concussions, they'll kill you. These are really bad. Junior Seau killed himself that year. Like, there were all these things that just snowballed to it scared the hell out of me. So,
how come you didn't try and, like, move positions and go to another team, or did you?
I didn't. No. The opportunity was there to do that, but I don't know. I just had this gut feeling to not continue to pursue it and to just move on. Like, there was always that feeling that wanted to be still playing, of course.
Yeah.
Because, dude, it's unreal. Like, everything is first class. Everybody treats you like royalty.
Yeah.
Like, everyth's at like your disposal, and it's the top of the game. Like, it's what you've been working for your whole life.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, the thing that I've probably realized most lately, reflecting on it more and talking about it more, is I pretty much had to start all over from ground zero.
Yeah, well, you have no monetizable skills, and nobody talks about this.
No one talks about this.
You have absolutely zero fucking skills that you can use in the real world. I remember going to one of Steve's masterminds, and I was like a year into real estate, and I was like 6 months out of like working with Alan, so like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I went to a mastermind with Carlos Reyes, like Matt Larson, Pineda, Jared Vidales, Jesse, like a bunch of these like really big people. And they're like asking me like what my skill set is. Like, I mean, I can show you how to tackle, but like I haven't developed anything yet. Like there was nothing.
Yeah. All physical skills.
All physical skills. I mean, I would say I gained leadership and people skills.
Yeah.
And culture setting. Because I got to go through,
which is huge as a leader.
As a leader,
right? Those skills, I think, like, to flash forward, and I'll come back, talk about it more. But I think the biggest thing that's helped me push through the difficult things of being an entrepreneur is all the work and effort I'd put up to that point in sports, understanding that, like, discipline is key to get to the next level. Dude, you know how many guys were bigger, faster, stronger than me, smarter. Like, there's people I would train with that were freaks. They were just so physically gifted that I'm like, I can't compete with that.
I feel like those people are a dime a dozen now, looking back at it, though.
Yeah.
Like, the people who are, because like you can name tons of them who are freaks, but then they just didn't have it upstairs.
They just couldn't put it together.
Like, they just couldn't put it together for like one of those variables.
like they had everything, but they just couldn't catch the ball right, or they just couldn't consistently run the play correctly.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, like I realized with the Chargers, what allowed me to play so well was
Fucking
like, if you just do exactly what you need to do and go to the right place at the right time, like the pieces of the puzzle just perfectly fit together. But if you just go a half second off, or you go just the wrong angle or something, like the whole thing's going to be effed. Yeah. So, I think the dedication and the persistence and the consistency around just the work the level of effort, because still to this day, like when the kids are asleep and the wife's asleep, like I'm still up working and like game planning and thinking through things. I'm not just like, mailing it in and going to bed at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
What time do you go to bed? And what time do you wake up?
Well, now that I came out with the coaching program, I'm going to bed till like 11.
You've been throwing down.
Well, when I was filming content for it, I was up till 2 a.m. for a month straight, working 5 hours a night on top of the full work day already. I was working from 9 till 2 a.m. like for a month straight. But that's what I knew what it would take.
Yeah.
And it's still not even as good as I know I will make it. Like that's version 1.
Exactly.
And I know I have a lot more to give, but I think it's that level of dedication that getting to a high level in sports allowed me to realize I knew what it would take to have those breakthrough moments.
Yes and no, because I think you're one of the best operators I know and very detail oriented. Because you're like, I would say you could just sell integration. You don't even have to sell anything else. Like, hey, I am the best integrator in the country. This is what I could show you on all our systems and processes down to a T. To where me, bro. Like me and Lewis need 3 assistants.
Right.
Like there's none of that there. Like if I don't have that person there, I can stay up and work and I can think and I can come up with like new marketing things. But as far as being super detail oriented, like you're the best person I know how to do.
I geek out on it, and everyone's got different things they're good at, but I like to nerd out on stuff, and I get excited by technology and like finding ways to improve processes and all that kind of fun stuff. So I gravitate towards it.
When did you where did this operator's skill set and mindset come from? Like, was it always like this? Because I think
from my dad.
Your dad? Because you're a Captain America type guy. I feel like you can do it all because you can sell and you can operate.
I got it from my dad because he can do it all. He's always been super gifted and, taught himself things and figured things out and been an entrepreneur himself. So I think I kind of got those skills from him genetically,
Okay.
And then obviously people can have the skills like we talked about, but putting them to use and putting them to work and working on them and getting better at them is just something that I've always been down to do.
So how big of a role did your father being an entrepreneur play in let's say in the last 10 years in your life?
I think probably growing up, I didn't realize it, but he was someone that was always there for me, supporting me through everything, like my whole family. But he definitely led a lot of it. And, I definitely took it for granted as I was younger, as most kids do. Him and my mom were always at all of my games and all that stuff, so they were always dedicated and supportive in every which way. So, but I think seeing my parents as entrepreneurs and being dedicated and just, right, it's like, hey, you got to get stuff done. And if that means it's on the weekend or if that means it's late at night or whatever it is, like you got to figure things out. Right. And it comes down to you at the end of the day.
What did both your parents do? Like what were their business?
Software business.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did you learn how to code as a kid?
No, but I was around computers. So I used to pretend that I knew how to code and stuff like that. And I would pretend like I was creating some hack software or something like that on my Apple computer in my bedroom. But I did teach myself how to code when I first was done playing in the NFL and started working in the corporate world. The very first job I had was actually, to spare all the details, the job kind of required us to be innovative. And for me, I just took it upon myself, in order for me to figure out how to create some systems and processes, I need to teach myself how to code. So I went on Google and taught myself how to code to be able to create this program.
Hell yeah.
And then the whole company, which was $1 billion company, was using the software that I created. So
Oh, that's dope.
it was pretty cool.
So why didn't you start a SaaS company instead of going into fucking real estate?
Because at the time, going from seeing what NFL life was like and going into corporate and working my ass off for a year and thinking, wow, I'm going to get rich as hell
And then
and go back to that lifestyle. And they're like, cool, we'll increase your salary from $65,000 to $67,000. I was like, whoa, like I need to figure something out on my own.
Were you doing sales? What were you doing?
It wasn't sales. And that's why there wasn't that like big earning potential.
Exactly.
It was more of like a consulting position, technically.
Really?
Yeah. And so what I was doing in that position was nothing consulting wise, right? It was all of that kind of like innovative stuff. But it resulted in that kind of pay structure. So for me, it just like opened up my eyes. All right, I've got to figure out what's next. And it literally took me about a day to think about it, because I'd always grown up loving real estate, as most people do, seeing the late night infomercials, Dean Graciosi, stuff like that, like almost buying his coaching program when I was, 14 or 15, at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then, I was like, you know what? I want to get into real estate. So I typed in how to get started in real estate, found Sean Terry's free podcast, Flip to Freedom. And within 3 months from that day, I did my first deal, which I actually co-wholesaled with Sean Terry. I found a property in his market, couldn't find a buyer quick enough. So I filled out my property on his website. His acquisitions guy called me. And then I got on the phone with Sean. He's like, oh yeah, we'll take care of that. And got it sold.
That's dope.
That was cool.
That's dope. All right. And so talk about like how long you flipped for, because I remember you being a flipper for a while.
Yeah, we were only flippers. So, my first year was me figuring stuff out, doing wholesaling. And then I found my business partner now, Lewis, and I was wholesaling him a couple deals. He's like, hey, you're really good at finding deals. You want to flip houses together? I was like, yeah. So we started flipping houses together. There's lots of up and downs throughout that process. But for all of about 4 or 5 years, we were flipping houses like crazy. First couple of years was like kind of slow, me figuring out what it was like to be in business and how to do that. And then we just started figuring things out and having breakthroughs and cranking through deals. And so we've, flipped hundreds of houses. And at this point now we still flip, but we realize the law of diminishing returns, like the more flips we did.
Yeah. I just wrote down, talk about how broke you are as a flipper, because
dude,
you're never really making money.
I was terrified all the time, like feeling broke as hell. Because think about it, especially if you're doing it at scale, because there's lots of different strategies, right? But at the time, admittedly so, we weren't making the HGT TV style, appearance of, every flipper makes, $50,000, $100,000 in every deal.
Yeah.
We were making 15, 20K a pop, right? Some we would make less, some we would make more, but I'd say average about 20K, right? And then you still have overhead.
Exactly.
You would still want to pay yourself and pay your bills,
yeah,
and like improve your lifestyle. So, by doing that and buying more flips, because we'd have 20 flips going at a time. Think about if the average remodel cost is $30,000, you have $600,000 out. And that's like, as the money comes in, it's already being respent.
Exactly.
And you still have your marketing costs, you still have your overhead costs. So you have so much money out constantly. It's a vicious cycle, dude. And all it took was 1 month in 2018 in the fall. I think it was October, where the market just like paused. It didn't go down. Like the interest rates had ticked up and the market was like, oh, we're going to like sit back for a month. And I had 20 flips going at the time. I was like, no, I'm cool. Like, I don't want this many flips anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. So me and Lewis talked about it and we figured out we're really good at finding deals. We're really wanting to add more to our rental portfolio. So let's just do the flips that are easy in and out. That's not going to stress us out, and do a couple, and let's just wholesale. So, that next the next 2 years after that, 19, 20, we did 100 wholesale deals each of those years. Last year we did 108 wholesale deals. We keep adding more to our rental portfolio. Since 2018, I like flipping so many houses. Like, dude, if I just keep flipping houses, I'm going to not only keep feeling broke, but I'm not really building wealth.
But you were acquiring a couple of rentals though throughout that time.
Not until 2018.
So you have 60 right now?
Yeah. Well, 64, something like that.
Right. I mean, so you did that in really the last 4 years, but truly 2 years, because you weren't buying heavy during COVID, were you?
I would have wanted to,
right?
But we just didn't.
Yeah.
Like in 2021, last year, we bought one rental, just one.
Exactly.
And this year we've already bought 5, but the years before it was like 18 in 2020, and however many before that in 19 and 18. But yeah, we were acquiring heavy then.
Right. I was going to talk about this today, but I think the number one thing that I wish I would have done more when COVID hit, I panicked and like slowed everything down to where now, fuck it, bro, just double down.
Yeah.
Doing it. Like I won't make, because I think Jason out of all of us thrived the most because he doubled down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he made a couple $1 million off of these refinances and capitalized on the interest rates.
I know.
Had a blue ocean as far as deal flow went, and he made it the right way to where now, if you're a little bit more experienced and he's not really heavy flip, we can take these things down. It's just adding to the portfolio,
And everyone has a different strategy on that, which is interesting because when I did all my refinances in 2021 at 3.5%, I could have taken a lot of money off the table, but I actually chose to do.
Yeah, you kept it all in there, right?
I choose to do rate and term, not cash out. So rate and term, keep the debt as low as possible. So people are going to have a different opinion on that.
How long is your debt locked in for? 30 years?
30 years.
Okay. But I think, isn't Jason's locked in for 30?
Yeah.
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 So define rate and term.
But I'm saying he did. Okay. So the difference between rate and term and cash out is a rate and term loan is you replacing the existing debt. Okay. At the exact same amount that you had debt in place before. So you're not receiving any proceeds.
But were you getting like 2% rates is what you're telling me?
No, you still get the same amount. And usually they'll finance a little bit higher if it's needed. But I kept my debt really low. Like in the 50s and 60s.
Of like leverage?
Of leverage.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my average leverage across the board, I think is low 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy good.
It's not too bad. But I could have taken, hundreds and thousands of dollars of cash out and brought my leverage up on average to 75% or whatever. And just either held on to it or redeployed it into more properties. Right. But I just wanted to keep the payments as low as possible and the cash flow higher.
Yep.
So that if there is a storm I have to weather,
right. That is
my payments.
So you have crazy cash flow off of all those then.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, unless you got insane deals and your debt's super low, I almost don't care what anybody says, but you're not getting rich off the cash flow from your rentals.
No.
Unless you've got like so many.
No, I think that's the fallacy that everybody thinks.
The fallacy, because the reality is like net worth is going up like crazy.
Yeah.
But the actual cash flow from those, if you're cash flowing a couple $100 on paper, all it takes is one AC to go out, one roof to go out. It's gone for years. Because you might net $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. That AC took out all of that cash flow for that year, So the real benefit from it is obviously on paper net worth, because if you needed to exit and liquidate, you've got equity in it. Like we have millions of dollars of equity in our portfolio. And then your depreciation and your write-offs, we wrote off $1 million last year.
Shout out Slack.
Shout out to Brady Slack for real. And so, those are the benefits, and that's why the wealthy buy real estate.
Yeah. Real estate is not about, I truly think it's depreciation, pay down, net worth, and then after that is cash flow.
Yeah. Obviously you want to buy smart, so you are cash flowing.
Yeah. You're buying smart, but I'm talking about like the benefits.
Yeah.
Generally, like cash flow is the last benefit. And if you are going to buy singles, bro, you got to buy them at scale or do them on Airbnb, is my personal opinion.
Or buy them so deep that the cash flow is just like,
yeah,
is able to support your lifestyle.
And I was just, because I don't know anything about this, because we only have like 3 sub-2 rentals. So are you telling me like so your debt on, let's say if it's a $300,000 house, you only have a loan and your mortgage payment is on $150,000, correct?
That'd be 50%.
Yeah, so it's like 50%. So instead of a $300,000 mortgage payment, it's a $150,000 mortgage payment.
Yeah, we have a lot of those.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
but that really helps with the cash flow.
It does. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Well, that's dope. And then you own a mixture of, single families, you have a couple Airbnbs, and then you have that one commercial building.
Mm-hmm.
How has the commercial building been? Because I feel like that's the one you truly want to do more of.
I want to do more commercial. Where I want to go with the commercial, and my partner, Lewis, he's already doing it.
Yeah.
He's getting into, gas stations, truck stops, building out multifamily, stuff like that. So where stuff gets really sexy is in some of those projects.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunity out there. That's what's crazy is
the barrier to entry is a lot higher. That's what's
the barrier to entry is higher because not only do you need to have the like financing partner relationships, a lot of the deals, right? Unless you're bringing in someone else and giving up more of the pie, like you got to have cash.
Yeah.
And it's not like a $5,000 EMD. We're talking, $100,000 EMD. And then just, you got a piece of dirt that you need to like prepare for a project. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on plans and permits, like before the dirt has even moved.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But so that's the hard part with like wholesaling is the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah.
To where it's really easy to enter and it creates a lot of just nonsense competition.
Yeah.
To where at that level, you don't really have to deal with, let's just say.
The crazy thing though is, just talking with Lewis, like there's a lot of deep pockets out there.
Yeah,
a lot.
Right.
There's still heavy competition.
There's a lot of deep pockets.
It's still there. But you don't have to do as many deals for it to make sense. You could just do one deal and you're making millions. 7 figures.
Yeah. You can do one deal and you're making millions. Like we have the one we're looking at now, and hopefully that's millions off of one deal.
That's a one storage?
Yeah. That's a lot easier than having to go out and do a bunch of fucking wholesales.
Right.
That falls far to the finish line, or you have some nonsense.
Right.
And for me, it's the cash flowness of wholesale. And that's why I want to talk to you about, like, I think your friends with benefits plan is amazing. I think it's the only true scalable method in wholesaling, by the way.
It can truly scale and scale almost infinitely. Like you can do a lot with it.
Right. So, like New Western is one of the largest wholesaling companies in the country. That's all they do. I know Donnie's company, they add like a couple million a year off of JVs. That's all Keegley's model is. And they're like a $30 million, $40 million company, to where there's not a whole lot of direct to seller because your cash flow conversion cycle is so fucking wild. Because like me and you just closed a deal that came from my CRM. That was from 3 years ago.
Is that how long ago it was?
But it was from 3 years ago. Like the dude came at the very beginning. And then crazy. We've just been pushing it along to where that's not as predictable. And when you have the JV model, that cash is now. Like just get them in.
Right. The opportunity's there right now. Yeah.
Get them in, close it. That's cash. And with no, you could have some outreach people, but there's no heavy overhead.
Yeah.
So let's talk about let's talk about the transition of flipping into wholesaling.
Yeah.
And how that looked and how fast was it? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah. So, it was pretty quick from a decision standpoint. Like, all right, let's stop buying flips. Let's start wholesaling. And at that point, we knew most people in town, but we didn't have the relationships like to where we do now.
Yeah.
And the connections and everything. So, we just basically started within our circle of people wholesaling deals to them. And kind of understanding what prices they needed to be at, right? Because we're all looking at numbers as flippers, pretty much the same. So we know what they're probably looking at. So just negotiate it a little bit better, right? So the transition was pretty quick and easy. But then once we started doing it at volume, like, okay, let's improve our buyers list. So we started reaching outside of our circle more.
But that didn't happen until COVID.
That's when it like really got serious.
Yeah, like that's when you like started like really throwing down on buyers.
Leveling up on it, yeah.
What made you want to do it? Like what was it that clicked?
Just realizing that at that point in time, people had kind of taken a pause just like when anything happens, right? Like interest rates right now are going up. So people are taking a pause. They're looking at things. So rather than me just waiting to see how things shake out, I just took it upon myself to know, all right, I need to start building more relationships and start doing more outreach. So got in the Facebook groups, started looking at cash transactions, started doing word of mouth type of stuff. And like, it just started to snowball to where all these new relationships were starting to form and build. And, I would vet them and qualify them really hard to make sure they weren't, douchebags getting on the list. And it worked out really good.
Okay. So we're there. And then last year was a net off of Friends with Benefits million.
It got good.
Like it got good. But think about that you generally, the reason I push you guys is because you guys help them. They double their money sometimes. So we were talking about a deal just now. To where someone thinks they have a deal, they lock it up. Like, no, you got to go lock it up from here, and then we can get it sold.
The best person to work with is someone that's like, they understand, they're self-aware, and they're motivated to like maximize the deal and the relationship that develops from it too.
Yeah.
Like my biggest advice for somebody who's getting started, who's newer, or even experienced, that's wanting to open up new doors, like, go work with somebody who's doing what you want to do at a high level. And I've continued to do that with more people in the community, people that are new and experienced, because it just opens up more doors. And so for someone getting started, if you got a deal that you might fumble and screw up, right? Or you don't have the time to work it, or whatever the reason is, that's not going to allow that deal to be as good a deal as possible.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to come in. Our team is constantly negotiating with people. They know how to do it well. We're going to get it at a good price. And then turn around to the other side. We're going to find a buyer that's going to pay top dollar, who's probably going to give as least amount of problems through that transaction as possible. There's still always problems, but as least amount of problems. And then we're going to handle the whole escrow problem, which we know escrow is where deals go to die. So we overcome obstacles and issues and title problems. And like, I got a story for a deal that should close tomorrow. I'm gonna save it for another video. But we sent a pizza man to go get the tenant's attention. A pizza man. Like, that's
my boy does that.
That's a ninja strategy right there. We sent the pizza man because the tenant ghosted us and stopped answering. As soon as we sent the pizza man, she picked up the phone, gave us a call, and we were able to do cash for keys exchange, get her out, and we're closing the deal tomorrow. So, there's just little things like that, like going the extra mile to get deals done.
And so let's talk about your other forms of marketing. How's TV been going?
TV's cool.
Because this asshole bought out all the TV
I bought them all
spots
out
in the Central Valley.
Everybody in the Central Valley keeps calling and figuring out how they can get on. But I got them all. So TV was cool. One of my buddies, Tony Javier, he'd been doing TV for, I want to say, over 10 years.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer. I can't remember how long it is. And it's one of his main forms of marketing. And he had started up a mastermind and invited me to it, been going to it, getting a lot of value from it. And he had been helping me in my business with small little tweaks and things I should be adjusting. And he's like, hey man, I'm about to kind of go national with this TV program and help other people run it in their markets, right? Kind of a done for you type of thing. So I was really hesitant towards it because I was like, well, how much money is it going to cost? Is it going to work? All these different, objections. And he's like, dude, like, it works. You got to do it for all these different reasons. And it's done for you. So for me, that was kind of like the final straw. Like, okay, I'll do it. Dude, not only has the revenue been great from it, the ROI on it, but the level of credibility that we've gotten from it is insane.
Yeah.
It's helped us both with sellers, and it's also helped us with buyers too, because people take us even more serious now. Like, it's another level of credibility. Like, if your face is on TV,
right,
and then they're talking to you, you instantly have like an authority.
Yeah.
And there's a celebrity factor to it, and like all these different things. So it's just different.
Right. So like, what does your company look like now? And what has been like the growth of it? And when did you know to hire on certain spots?
Yeah, good question. It's always been kind of a gut feeling where it felt like there was another opportunity for breakthrough. And also people like yourself and other friends that are kind of looking at it from the outside in, like, dude, you need to bring on another person to handle this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still doing transaction coordination with escrow this whole time up until like 6 months ago. You're like, dude, you need to stop doing that. But I'm like, dude, I make sure these deals get done. Like, nah, dude, someone else should do that. So, you know, good advice from people like you has helped me to like make the right decisions at the right time. But yeah, I think we continue to grow. We keep adding more people to the team. We don't want to get too big because we want to stay like nimble and agile. You know?
I don't think now is the time to bloat yourself.
No.
Now is not. Like we cut off a lot and like narrowed things down and made it like a leaner machine.
Yeah.
Because it'll be, I think there'll be turbulence for like 6 to 8 months of like people being uncertain, no matter what it is. And so you need to be able to, like, we pivoted only into like, so we let people go, shut off some businesses, and then all the extra money went to, because we were using debt to grow, we paid down the debt, and then the rest of it went into advertising. And then just you deal with like the skeleton team that you have and get better and like develop them more.
Exactly. Yeah. So for us, I think the biggest pivot that we're making right now is in marketing. So we were blowing tons of cash on marketing. Hey, it's working.
Yeah.
It's getting the ROI. But I think without actually seeing it not working, I'm not going to wait to just keep spending it and it not working. You know, I'm actively looking at other strategies that are more kind of like your grassroots, boots on the ground type of strategies, like the friends with benefits. So we hired someone for business development just to work on relationships.
And I still think that's your best hire so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's still a lot of room for development.
Yeah.
With training and all those things to get it to where it's going to go and where it needs to go. But I think where the scale is in that position is going to be unreal.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, we're just pivoting in our marketing so that it's more targeted, more strategic, and the effort that we're spending on it is maybe a little bit more effort with less money, but the actual quality of the leads are going to be that much higher.
Oh yeah. I mean, because that, again, we talked about like that quality of lead, it's the hottest because it just needs help.
Yeah.
It's already signed. Like that already part's taken care of. There is no following up with the old lady. There is no freaking, all right, we got to go talk to these 9 people. It's all right. It's here. Now what do I do? Right. And then you guys help with that half of it. Yeah. So I think that's really easy. Well, let's not say easy.
Not always easy. Yeah.
How hot are those TV leads generally? Is it like a direct mail lead and a PPC lead?
Well, I'd say in order of quality, I'd say TV and PPC are going to be highest. Direct mail is going to be next. And then you got cold calling and text messaging from there. You know,
are you guys still texting?
We stopped texting. We have a Friends with Benefits 2.0 going on right now, where we are doing some text campaigns with some other people. So we're testing that out and seeing how well it's going to work. Could get pretty interesting.
Okay. Can you define that or no?
Yeah. We've had other investors reach out to us and like, hey, I have money to invest. I don't know how to get these deals done. I don't know even where to start. How can we work with you? Yeah. So they're basically bringing money to the table, investing it with us into marketing. And we're kind of niching out like, okay, well, let's market here. Let's do that.
I tried doing that with zip codes.
Yeah.
And then I learned that the zip codes weren't big enough.
Right. Right.
To where I think I was doing it with Zuber. Right. We gave them a certain set of zip codes, but then after a certain point, it was like, well, we're getting a diminishing return if we keep just punching this zip code in the face.
Right.
But that's really cool. How important was hiring on your office manager? And why did you hire on an office manager when you were the office manager?
Well, at a certain point,
as far as an operator, because you're the operator.
Yeah. At a certain point, there's just too many things to do. And when it came to all the paperwork and it came to transactions and all that kind of stuff, like it just made so much sense to bring someone on. So, you know, for anybody that's growing, if you look at the highest performing and, you know, biggest revenue companies, they have team members and strategic team members that are also performing at a high level. So for me, I just had to bring on some of those people, you know.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing down my questions as they come in.
Yep.
What is the best trait you got from sports? Let's give top
top
3 things you learned from sports that have helped you excel in business.
Is there 3 of them? I would just say about, just the hard work part, because there's way too many snowflakes out there that they see, a day of hard work. They're like, oh man, this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they just give up. For me, like, I'm willing to show up every day, whether I'm sick or don't feel good, whatever it is,
Well, I think sports for us showed us that there's an end to the hard work.
Yeah.
Correct. If we put in a certain amount of effort, like it eventually comes to with a lot
There's
of
a
people.
result.
Like they just work hard forever and they don't know if there's ever going to be a result, or at least like we have the faith in it.
Yeah.
That it'll bear fruit eventually. And like we got to see it because like obviously you're lifting weights and like, oh wow, I can squat more. Now I can squat even more. Now I can bench more. Now I'm faster. To where most people are like, I truly call that a blessing. Like they don't get that blessing to see like hard work goes into something and then I get the desired result afterwards. Like if you didn't play sports, you didn't have to really work at anything. Like there's no correlation.
Yeah, totally. I think the next thing, I had to actually just thought about it right now. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. In sports, it's like you're being coached on how to do things all the time.
Yeah.
And if you have an attitude, if you just don't want to do it that way, like your ass is on the bench.
You're fucking gone.
You know what I mean? So I think having some good coaches along the way that showed me like, hey, just taking your one step, 6 inches rather than a foot, or, do it this way, or, grab, put your hands here or do it this way. Like those little small things that I saw have a big impact and big result is where I understood like there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And so I try, it can't be perfect every time, but I try to bring that same approach to business where it's like, no guys, we have to do it this way because this is the right way to do it. If we half-ass it or we just don't do a good job, we're not going to get results.
Exactly.
It's not going to work.
It's
out.
all for naught. Like at that point, we're just wasting time and money.
Yeah.
And why the fuck are we
If you want to be the best, like you got to do it this way.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's transition into the tribe of Dinos. Tell me about these amazing kids. And you work from home and you're amazing with those kids all the time. What's it been like working with them at home with the new baby and everything else?
Yeah. Well, I'd say for most people that aren't used to that environment, like it'd be stressful. Because my kids have an insane amount of energy. Right now, as I'm filming this, I got a 6-year-old, an almost 4-year-old, and a 16-month-year-old. So things are really busy, and every single day is a lot of work just with the kids.
Yeah, just with the kids.
Let alone all the work and the businesses that we have. So I think the blessing is that I get to be around them a lot with the way I have things set up, so I'm taking them to the beach, taking them to the park. I'm able to be, part of their sports and all that kind of stuff, whatever other activities they're doing. So I think that's probably the coolest thing and why I wanted to be an entrepreneur is just have that freedom.
Talk about that, your family meetings.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Dude, I'm stoked on that. So I'd say the biggest area for improvement in my life right now, looking at all things, is my family actually being more aligned on goals. Because right now it's kind of like we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. It's like, hey, we're improving our lifestyle, or we're doing this thing that we like to do and that's fun, or let's test this other thing out. And it's like we haven't really had goals, like defined specific goals that we're working towards. And if you don't have that in place, like there's imbalance there. You know what I mean?
So like, where did you find out on how to do a family meeting and who gave you that idea?
So I'd heard from some people at church who had mentioned, this was years back, and it just kind of like came up to me that I needed to do it now. Had some friends at church that said that they had a family meeting. Now they didn't have kids at the time. It was just, significant others. And they had a family meeting to talk about like what they wanted to do as a family, what they wanted to do for fun, what they wanted to do for fitness, what they wanted to do for faith, what they wanted to do for finances. So that way they could be on the same page across all those different categories. And so for me, feeling that level of imbalance recently, I was like, all right, enough's enough. Like we got to figure this out. And so I was reminded about that. And so I got this new screen,
whiteboard,
the vibe board that I can write on. I was like, well, that's engaging. That won't be so boring for the kids, so why don't I pull that out and let's write down all these categories and let's go through every single week and write down like, okay, so what are the kids going to be doing for fun? What are we as a family going to be doing? What are we going to be doing for fitness? Right. So for the kids, it might be like a sports camp. For me and the wife, it might be just coordinating our schedules for when we want to work out. So just by doing that, we're all on the same page with what's happening and what we want to do and can plan things ahead. And it's already made like a huge difference.
Okay. I love that. What are some of the goals that you guys have?
So let's see. I mean, traveling a lot more, especially with things having been locked down for the past couple of years. So traveling is a huge one for us. Getting more involved in the church is something that's a big goal for us. And then financially speaking, I mean, we just want to stockpile more money aside. And I've been doing investments with my partner, but me and the wife want to now start doing investments ourselves.
Okay.
So
how did that conversation go with you and your partner when you said you wanted to do investments on your own?
Well, he's already doing some investments on his own too.
So it's pretty easy.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Investment question. Is Hex a scam?
No, I don't think so.
I was on the
phone.
Do
you think so?
I was on the phone. Well, I don't think they should release it right now. I don't think they should release the chain. It'll be worth dog shit.
Oh, PulseX. You said Hex.
I think Hex, but I think even PulseX right now, like, why would you release it?
No, bad timing.
Bad timing.
Which they said they were going to delay it.
Yeah. I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
But I was talking, either he's the greatest like person ever, or he's the greatest con artist ever.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know because he's so in your face about everything.
Yeah.
That
he's a good debater, bro. It's
really
not like there's a lot of holes in like his arguments.
No. And he pretty much puts everything out there.
Yeah.
So there's that's something that makes you kind of want to get behind that.
Yeah.
But then it also makes you kind of feel weird too.
Well, nobody knows where he lives. He's somewhere in Europe.
Well, that's intentional.
But I mean, let's say, so one thing that I was thinking about the other day is like, okay, all the people who pull out their stake, who gets all that money? He gets all the money?
Oh, when they like
let's
default.
Let's just say they want to default and they want to pull it out and they're like, I'm done staking.
Yeah.
He gets all that money?
I don't know.
It's a lot of money.
That would be a lot of money.
Right. And like I was like, okay, so we're trusting this guy over that. Number one, we're trusting the fact that this coin will be around for 30 years in the first place.
True.
To where like .com era, bro, only like 5 made it.
That's one thing that threw me off. Like people, and don't get me wrong, like there's obvious upsides to it, and it's an investment.
It is an investment, so it can go
to lock
zero.
Something into 15 years. That's 15 years, dude.
And like, what does he say the yield is on it?
I don't know. I can't remember.
To where that is a Ponzi scheme. Because like, if there's one thing I've learned with crypto, and especially lately, bro, it's all gone to fucking dog shit. Like all these really, really big platforms.
It goes in cycles, and it's especially harsh because,
everybody got margin called on stupid shit.
It's something so new and so unregulated that it's going to see insane volatility.
But so like the way I put it is like, okay, so we had, when the Industrial Revolution happened, all the car companies, there was hundreds. Like 5 made it.
Right.
.com era, hundreds. Let's say 20 made it.
Yeah.
Crypto, hundreds, thousands at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know what I'm saying? So like, how many are going to make it, and what makes us think that Hex is actually going to make it?
Fair enough.
And then the dude could walk. Nobody knows where he is. And he walks, bro, I think there's 1 billion sacrificed for the fucking Pulse chain, let alone
Hex.
There is, yeah. Well, he's sitting on $1 billion of assets. But okay, right now it's 500 million. Still though, walking with 500 million.
Yeah.
You're still walking with 500 million and nobody knows where the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And there's no regulation for them to say like, oh, it was wrong. And he very, very clearly said, hey, no, this isn't a security or anything else. Like you will not be given anything to where like, yeah, I'm just giving you my money.
Pretty much.
All of those things together, I was just like, huh.
But you still sacrifice.
I still sacrifice. I was talking to Chase about it like a week ago because he's a big Cardano dude.
Okay.
And like he started going off. He's like, I was all about Hex. Hex is a scam. I fucking hate Richard Hart, blah, blah, blah. And like we started having this conversation. Then I started like thinking about it deeper. I was like, oh shit. I mean, he does like have like the hexagons by the testicles.
Oh yeah. Well, because he made a lot of them filthy rich.
That's very true. But I mean, what's it at? It's at 3 cents right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, the whole market crashed, which is what happened in 2017. That was the first time like that I got into it and started buying crypto.
did you sell any of it?
Of course, I got chicken shit and told myself I'm going to hold on to this until it's worth so much money. But as soon as it went up and then started going down, oh, get out of here.
My boy had
That's some weak
100K
hands.
in Doge and he wouldn't sell it off. I was like, bro, just take some capital, take some
Yeah.
chips off the table.
Yeah.
And this was like 3 months ago. And I don't even know what Doge went to, but I'm sure it dropped like 50% like that rest of everything else.
Yeah.
What else are you investing in besides crypto?
Well, I did the whole, Amazon and Walmart store.
Yeah, we both got fucked on that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, I don't, oh man.
Don't want to say any names.
I won't say any, I was listening to Andy Frisella's podcast the other day, like his old school, Andy Frisella's old school shit is fire. Like some of the best like personal development stuff I've ever heard. And he was talking about as a business owner, you can do some stuff for a little bit of time and get away with it, but like you can't build a true like 20-year, 30-year business or even a 10-year business. Like to get real traction in a business, you're 5 years plus. Yeah. To like make it worth something. To where I'm interested to see what happens, let's say, in the next 3 years to that guy.
Right. What's interesting? Like the more that I've explored other options this year in particularly, as I've made more money, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in other businesses. Granted, they were speculative businesses.
I think that's the biggest thing, bro. It's like we take very, very large bets with very, very speculative assets to
Big
where
time.
we don't control the asset, to where moving forward, it would
crypto, Amazon, Walmart stores.
Yeah.
There was a lot invested into that, which, hey, on paper and potential,
right? The fucking yield is 30% a month. Do
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? I mean,
yeah, it was, dangling carrots in front of me that talking with my partner was like, all right, yeah, like if this works out, awesome. If it doesn't work out, it's not going to change our lifestyle if that money's gone.
Yeah.
So it's worth the bet. And that's what it was, a bet.
Looking back at it, I still don't. I think it was worth the bet because I learned a lesson. But moving forward, like my due diligence will be significantly better.
Totally.
Right, because like now the whole goal is return of capital.
It also reinforced like, hey, if you're good at something, like double down on that.
Right, like bro, if I'm good at something, I get a better return by doubling down than I would generally in anything else.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big fan of Hormozy saying, bro, there's no true passive income because there's not. And then like going and having to learn a whole entirely new skill set of like, how does this thing actually work ins and outs to mitigate that downside and be able to hop in and like do something to where like, let's say if one of our stores was going down to a certain amount and like I knew exactly what to do, I could be like, okay, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And then I could go put a team in place and have them just run it and do it the right way. Yeah.
It's the same thing with like people kind of asking me like, hey, why don't you get into other markets, other real estate markets?
Well, we haven't tapped it yet, dude. Like you haven't tapped the market yet.
It's like for me, the more I've spent more and more and more time in my own market, which is only so big, the more that it's got a return.
But like you haven't even really gone up to like towards SAC in the Bay yet.
Right.
In my personal, like you haven't like really started to like tap into that at all.
Yeah.
To where like, bro, there's a whole lot of money up there still, and then deal size, and then you still have LA to where it's like slowly just like chunking it out, and just.
Well, I think of those as other markets, not even like the market I'm in. I think of just the Central Valley as like that's my addressable market.
I mean, what is that? I mean, what do you say? Merced's the top of the Central Valley.
Well, Modesto.
Okay, so Modesto.
That's what I think.
So Modesto to Baco. Like, I'd say that's the Central Valley, and like it takes a lot to tap into that, and there's a lot of different shit that is. I still think that adds a lot of variables.
Totally.
Because like we were looking at a flip in Chowchilla, and then I was thinking about buying it, and I sent it to my friend. He was like, "Bro, no, because X, X, and X," and I had no clue.
Right.
Because I was gonna buy it. He was like, "Nah, bro, but we got this variable, and this variable. If we do it, we need to have it there because of that." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I could have lost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't like a wholesale. Like this was me buying it.
Right.
Where you add in all those variables.
Right.
and simple skills.
Yeah. So I think just going back to like focus on what you're good at and take your skills that you've developed and lean in on those. Those are going to give you the biggest return.
What type of content do you listen to like grow and like develop more skills?
I don't listen to too much content, to be honest. I feel like I want to be a reader and I want to lean in on certain people, but I just can't find the time for it right now. And I know that's an excuse because you can always move things and prioritize things. But I find myself, if I'm trying to read, like I just fall asleep.
Okay.
So like the stuff that I will listen to, Alex Hormozy, I've really gotten into him lately.
Yeah.
So just looking at his Instagram feed, I'll just get super hyped just listening to that. I'll click on his profile. I'll just hit the first reel and just let it filter through. And I'm like, damn, these are some fire.
Like fire.
Yeah. Like just a 15-second video can have so much value to it. So I'm like, wow, I'm using that.
But I'm a fanboy. I'm a true Hormozy Nation fanboy. Everything that like he teaches like helps me out so much.
Yeah. So it's little things like that is what is the content that I listen to.
Okay.
So it's just little short couple minutes. I'll listen to this, I'll listen to that, and then I'll be on my way, you know.
Well, I mean, and it's hard, bro. You got the 3 little ones running.
That's the craziest part.
Running.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll be up at all hours of the night. You know, we still got the baby sleeping in bed. So
yeah,
there's just always something going on.
Oh, so, okay. What time are you waking up in the morning? That's the one
when the kids come in and jump on me.
Really?
Yeah. Which is usually like 6:30.
Okay.
You know,
and they just come in and wake you up.
Oh yeah. Just jump right on your nuts, dude, and just really wake you up.
I don't really have anything else, bro. Anything else you want to leave talk about your coaching program.
Okay. Yeah. So it's people like you again that have kind of like pushed me into doing content and doing stuff like that. And I think the Friends with Benefits program that we have, right, where we're working with other investors and doing JV deals together, has really amplified the fact that I love working with other people. And the more we've worked with other people, we've added value to them, helped them with their businesses, helped them do more deals. And so I get a lot of fulfillment through that. And then again, with encouragement from people like you and others, have kind of pushed me off the cliff to be like, hey, you need to come out with a coaching program. So it's a passion project of mine. It's been released for a month now, and basically goes through everything that we're doing in our business, A to Z, from marketing to our systems to how we are working with and finding buyers, how we've built out our team, literally everything that we're doing. And then we have, an accountability aspect built into it. We're checking in with you weekly to see like how you're doing, what you're doing, what challenges you're having. Then we have a negotiation training on Tuesdays and then a Q&A on Wednesdays. So it's really an interactive engagement coaching program. And it's been super fun so far, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, you're one of the best operators I know. Because I remember you telling me about all the stuff you're doing. I was like, man, I didn't even think about that fucking detail. Like, well, I got to get this and I got to get this. And you send me the fucking sheet that is this long of every single thing. I was like, oh, wow. Like, these are like things like I wouldn't even think about. But then you're just so dear to own it. It's awesome. Where else can people find out about you?
Well, you can go to Instagram, Dean Rogers Real Estate. You can go to deanrogers.com, see all my social media stuff on there. You can also see a video about the coaching program. Check it out. See if you're interested.
Jake, do we have any questions? Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Dino. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Can't wait to talk to you guys tonight.
Sweet.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Winning Move Podcast. I hope it helps you make all the right moves in your life and business. Please make sure to go like and subscribe on any podcast platform that you're listening to, and make sure to go follow me on Instagram @StratDaddy. Thank you guys so much.